And we're live.
I'm curious, like, because I know you have kids. I'm not sure how old they are now. Like, how do you broach the subject of weed with them? Because they must know that you use it often. Do you like give them pep talks, like, "Hey, I'm doing this because it's for I do it with my job, but you need to be wary. It's still a drug. Be careful with it the way you would alcohol." Or like, how have you found that difficult to handle, or not really?
Well, in this state, you have to be 18 to get your medical license. And I ran into my son in the store where I buy my weed because he's old enough. And I walked in and I go, "Hey, man." And he turned around and he goes, "Oh, hey." I go, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "I think the same thing you're doing here, right?" And then he put his wallet away. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, you're here. You're buying, right?" I was like, "No, dude. Like, we didn't just leave your Little League game, man. You know what I mean? I'm not buying you 3 scoops of OG Kush. This is not Baskin and Robbins. That's not how this works. You can have a Capri Sun and an orange slice, I guess, if you want. But I would much rather have my kids smoke than drink. Much rather.
I think that's fair.
If I think of the decisions you make when you're high and the decisions you make when you're drunk.
The only challenge I'd put there.
Yes.
It's not legal in this state.
Right.
So if they drink, there's not really heavy legal ramifications that come with them. I don't know what kind of trouble you can get into.
I think it's a misdemeanor in North Carolina, so I think it's a ticket.
Oh.
For most marijuana charges now, I know they decriminalized it in St. Louis where I live. Like, you kind of have to be a drug dealer to get in trouble. Like someone who sells large amounts of weed, whereas if some Joe Blow out there buys a little bit for himself, they're not going to waste the time.
Ticket. They'll give you, I think it's a $250 ticket is what I heard.
We know a guy in Illinois, I'm talking about White Boy, who avoided some real trouble because the way they found it turned out to be like illegal search or something. So he didn't get any trouble at all.
Yeah, he was swatted.
But he was facing
He was?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was swatted, and when they came in, they discovered a bag of marijuana, and there were some pending charges, but obviously got thrown out because there wasn't a legit search. They were there under stupid, ridiculous pretenses, so it got thrown out. I don't guess they gave him his bag back, but nothing came of it.
And part of the they found more than an ounce, and he's not a dealer. No one thinks he's a dealer, but he is an avid smoker. I think that's fair to say. I'm not looking to throw him under the bus. So he's just the kind of guy who would own more than an ounce for himself.
Yeah. Well, I've had TSA. I travel with edibles. I've had TSA take my edibles out of my bag before.
Really?
There was one time she took the edibles out of the bag and she held them up like this, because almonds, they'll take them out of your bag because they look like a bomb because they're a mass that they can't X-ray through.
Almonds?
And so a bag of almonds. And so I had my almonds near my podcast stuff. So it was a mass with wires. Mm-hmm. So they went through my carry-on, and near my almonds was my weed, because that's where I keep my snacks next to each other.
Yeah.
And she took a bag of probably 15 edibles out. And she held them up and she said, "Do you want to talk about this?" And I said, "Only if you do."
Do they smell like pot? How does she know they're not Tootsie Rolls?
Because it says.
Oh.
And it's in a city, and I won't say which city it was in because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but it was in a city where weed is legal. So I'm sure they know what it is. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Are you planning on taking these on the plane?" And I said, "I'll eat them all right now if you want me to." Like, I'm a team player. If just make sure somebody wakes me up when I get to New York is all I'm saying.
You got to get me one of those guys with a cart to drive me to my gate. As I'm hallucinating.
As long as there's a wheelchair waiting for me when I get off, I think we're good. If you need me to eat them all right now, I will. But it's so not a big deal, But interestingly, even though I'm pro weed and I'm not a drinker, I still feel weird smoking weed. I still have not smoked weed with my kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On paper, you would think, it's not a big deal, because my son's 21. I'd have a beer with him. I just still think it's weird to light up a joint with him for some reason.
Like the stigma of it, or like the smoking act of like, this still probably isn't very good for me.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really know. I really don't know why it's such a big deal. My oldest son is in the Army, so he's not a weed guy at all. But my other daughter, and my daughter and my other son they both like weed. But they're both, my kids, man, I don't know if you know anything about me. I met a woman who had 2 kids. We had a kid together. I kicked her out, but I kept all 3 kids. So I kept her 2 kids and my kid. I was a single dad for a long time, and then I met my current wife. So my kids are old, man. Like
Did you get more kids with the current wife? Because you're collecting a lot of children at this point.
No. Yeah, no.
And then I left some ice cream cones on the front step. They just kind of gather.
I'm going to the store. Don't pick up any more kids. Got it.
This one follows me home.
But so I have old kids. So my oldest son is in the army, and he's done a tour in Afghanistan and done the whole thing. And I got a daughter and I got a son. They're all over 21.